This is a special message and presentation for the teachers and staff at Robina State High School. It's hard to believe that students only resumed school a few weeks ago after an unprecedented period of time. At the end of term 1, our lives and your work changed drastically. Your response was rapid. You immediately started planning so that our students could continue their learning and also get the social and emotional support that they needed. This pandemic has had a profound impact on all of us, especially our students. You were a very important adult role model for them. They won't forget it. Some of our students thrived, some struggled, but as a school, we continue to work with our families to support their well-being. You've been champions. You've experimented and worked in new spaces. You've definitely been pushed out of your comfort zones and embraced new pedagogies that you will continue to embed in your practices. You've done our profession proud. A big thank you from me, but also a big thank you from our student and parent community.
Today I would like to thank all my teachers, Mr. Higgins, Mrs. Thornburn, Mrs. Miller, Mr. Rowe, Mr. Anderson, Mrs. Kinsville, Mr. McKean, Mr. Flory, Mrs. Crick and Mrs. Knowles. I would also like to personally thank Mr. Higgins because he was there to support us and always make sure we were at home and ready to learn. And also Mrs. Miller for always having the OneNote ready and helping people through this tough time. One of the teachers that probably went above and beyond was Mr. Anderson. He always had our lessons up and ready and helped us when we didn't know what to do, and also he helped us through our tests.
I would like to thank all of my teachers for helping me out in this very full and stressful term. Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Swift, Mrs. Young, Mrs. Gager, Mr. Rowe and Mrs. Shaw. I would also like to thank all other staff that helped me outside of my classrooms, including Mrs. Beckwith. I would especially like to thank Mr. Purnell, who isn't my teacher but he's my homeroom teacher, who always brightens my day up by complimenting my happy personality and making me feel good every morning. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Miss Nelson, Miss Boskowski, Miss McCloskey and Mr. Kanditsis, Miss Clipson, Mr. Rowe and Mr. Long for all their support. Miss Clipson has been very good with her emailing and keeping on top with everything and up to date. Everyone has been awesome through the term.
Hello, my name is Aishley and I would like to acknowledge all my teachers today. They have worked so hard over these past terms to help my classmates and I to become better students. By emailing us and making sure we are all up to date on the amazing OneNote. Thank you also to Miss Locke for checking in on us with our well-being and stronger together. I would like to thank these following teachers: Miss Maund, Mr. Markwick, Miss Saltman, Mr. Stevenson, Mr. Purnell, Mr. Scott, Miss Nelson, Miss Burnett, and last but not least, Miss Locke. On behalf of the class, I would like to say a huge public thank you to Miss Maund. She has been an amazing teacher from the start of the term. She has been working very hard in maths to make us work hard too. I think she should be recognised because she has helped myself as well as my whole math class in being very supportive, very positive, and has been encouraging, especially during COVID-19. She has helped us by sending the funny Zoom videos about algebra. Thank you so much again for all your help. It was very appreciated.
I'd like to thank all my teachers for helping me out through grade 12. That is Mr. Purnell, Mr. McGrath, Mr. Lambert, Miss Peters, Miss McGrath, Mr. Winter. I'd like to give a special announcement for Mr. Lambert for helping me out career-wise. That is plumbing. He's been helping me out with mock interviews and just personally helping me out. So thank you.
I want to thank Miss Sponder for encouraging us to finish all our work while learning at home.
I'd like to thank all my teachers for helping me through this term. I'd like to thank Miss Owen, Miss Locke, Miss Bobette, Miss Gager, and my homeroom teacher, Miss Nelson. I'd like to thank Miss Owen mainly because she has helped me with my math and has got me an A on my recent exams, and yeah, it's been really helpful.
I'd like to thank Miss Miller, Miss Aisha, Miss Peters, Mrs. Ison, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Levings and Mr. McGrath for their continued support through these times. I'd like to thank Miss Aisha specifically for motivating the class in a time where motivation was very hard to come by. I'd also like to thank Mr. Robinson, just for being Mr. Robinson.
Hi, I'm Olivia and today I'm going to acknowledge all my amazing teachers here at Robina High School for all their great support and guidance through this challenging time. Mrs. Bennett, Miss Burnett, Mr. Conditsis, Mr. Howard Clark, Miss Lott, Miss Carnell, Mr. Purnell, Miss Russian, Mr. Stevenson and Miss Dobie. I would also like to thank Miss Russian for all her guidance and positivity during isolation with her online platform. I found it very helpful to stay motivated with all my training. Thanks to all of her videos and YouTube links she sent us during this tough time.
I'd like to thank all of my Year 11 and 12 teachers, Miss Sharp, Miss Irwin, Miss Kadoglu, Mr. Wood and Mr. Dunn for making my Year 11 and 12 life really enjoyable. I'd also like to thank a very special thank you to Mr. Dunn for being the most chill and awesome ex-military Air Force pilot, physics and maths teacher ever, and helping me learn more about maths and physics.
I would just like to thank Mr. Mathers for his communication and explanation during COVID. He really helped me understand stuff and I just want to say thank you.
Hello, my name is Carl. I'd like to thank all my teachers for giving me a positive experience at Robina High. All of these teachers include Miss Plater, Miss Kinsville, Miss Johnston, Mr. Davidson, Mr. Norton-Smith and Mr. Wood. They've all had a positive contribution to my learning and I look forward to the rest of Year 12 with them, as long as with Year 11. A big special shout out to Mr. Wood. Mr. Wood's helped me a lot with my special interests and I enjoy his class very much with digital technologies. He's helped me pioneer with extracurricular subjects and I just really respect that, so thank you to Mr. Wood and all my teachers.
Hi, my name's Angelina. The last couple of months have been very difficult for everyone. Even though it's been difficult for students, it's also been very difficult for teachers. I want to thank all my teachers for all the hard work they put into getting us through online learning during this worldwide pandemic. A big thank you to Mr. Higgins, Mr. Rowe, Mr. Howard Clark, Miss Gower, Miss Cy McGrath and Miss Knowles. I especially want to say thank you to Mr. Long and Mr. Bradbury for going above and beyond to support the other students and I during online learning. They gave really clear instructions and when I had a question they took their time to help me understand. Thank you.
I would like to thank Miss Gray for her continued support and encouragement over the quarantine period and throughout this term.
家で学ぶ学生おはようございます。元気ですか ?OK ですか今日の授業説明しましょう。
Hi everyone. Today we're going to go through how to develop your research questions for your student experiment report and also how to identify the variables.
Your question will be how satellites orbit the Earth. So you've got to be able to read a text and be able to locate and pull out that vital information. So that's what the first 8 questions are in your style.
Hiya 10. So by now you should have developed a research question, you should have understood exactly what to do in this practical, and you should...
So they might be an Internet Explorer and they'll see, for example, content library but won't see their folder, or they'll try and open up a page but won't actually see a content library.
This week was a really exciting event. It was a Sustainable School Network online symposium. It was supposed to be face-to-face, but they moved it online for obvious reasons. There were some really exciting guest speakers, some panel forums, and all conducted on Zoom online. The Teacher Professional Development on Sunday was a 3-hour session with Jamie Cloud from the Cloud Institute in New York, and she joined us via Skype.
And all aboard the bus for the Career Festival. That's more of a train, but you get the idea. We're taking you to the Career Festival and you will arrive at your computer, and this is where you can access the Career Festival for 2020. So when you get to the Career Festival, you'll be greeted by a nice lobby that you can see on your computer screen.
Teachers, thanks for your help this term.